Okay, so what if achieving a huge goal, like say earning your first million, what if it isn't really about some, secret strategy, but more about fundamentally changing how you actually think?
Right.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into the core ideas of success, the principles Bob Proctor lived and taught.
Yeah, think of this as like a shortcut to understanding some really powerful concepts. Concepts that can genuinely transform your results.
And Proctor wasn't just, talking theory. He actually did it.
Exactly. He went from being seriously in debt to, well, global success.
Mhm.
And he helped so many others do the same thing.
So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack some of these honestly life-altering insights from his work.
Focusing specifically on how shifting that mindset, how you think, can unlock the results you've always wanted.
One analogy Proctor used that really hits home is the one about the hotel.
Oh, yeah, the magnificent hotel.
That's the one. He paints this picture, right? A beautiful, luxurious building. But then he says, imagine it totally empty.
No people, no concierge, no housekeepers, no chefs, no management, nothing.
Exactly. So what do you have left?
Well, you've got a building. Maybe it's furnished, looks nice, but it's lost its essence, hasn't it? It's just stuff.
It's not a hotel anymore. It lacks the life, the spirit.
The people are the spirit, the drive, the innovation. Without them, it's just an empty show. It really shows how vital commitment and growth are in any team, any company.
And Proctor saw this play out in his own organization, didn't he? With real people.
Absolutely. Incredible stories. Individuals who came from, well, totally different backgrounds and achieved amazing things by grabbing onto these ideas.
Like Mikey, for instance, started out as a nanny from Oklahoma.
That's right. Zero, quote unquote, business experience.
Yeah.
But she had this incredibly inquisitive mind, a real hunger to learn.
There's that story about Troy's book, right?
Yes. The Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. Proctor was reading it at a seminar. Mikey just asked him about it. And boom, he gave her his signed copy.
Just like that.
Just like that. He mentioned he'd done something similar years back with Phil Goldfine, who then went on to do great things in the film industry. It kind of shows how potential just needs that spark, right?
And Mikey just ran with it.
Totally immersed herself. First enrolled, then all of Proctor's teachings. Sandy Gallagher, his business partner, the CEO, she saw Mikey's knack for organization, her dedication.
And she rose through the ranks.
From basically zero business background to chief operating officer and marketing director of a global company. It's just a fantastic example of what can happen with immersion and, actually applying this stuff.
It wasn't just her, though.
No, not at all. Proctor often talked about Tommy Kohler, too. Started as a consultant, became this incredibly talented creative director.
And Arash Baghi.
Yeah, Arash. Believed to be working for a printing company, maybe making around $100,000 a year. Now, top salesman, sales manager in their organization.
So these huge transformations, it boils down to that collective commitment to growth.
Absolutely. It's the environment and the individual drive combined.
Now, Proctor's own story, his turning point, that started with a pretty direct question, didn't it?
It did. From this man he met who just seemed to radiate happiness, health, and wealth. Let's call him the HHW mentor.
HHW.
Okay.
And Proctor at the time was, well, the opposite.
Pretty much. He described himself as miserable, often sick, always broke, earning, $4,000 a year, but owing $6,000.
Wow. That's a tough spot.
Definitely. And this mentor just looks at him and asks, point blank, why don't you change your results?
And Proctor had never even considered it.
Nope. He said the thought just hadn't occurred to him, which is profound in itself, isn't it? Realizing your situation isn't fixed, you can actually change it.
So the mentor digs a bit deeper, asks about studying.
Yeah, asks if he studies. Proctor kind of mumbled something about not being a good reader, though apparently that wasn't totally true.
And the mentor's response?
That was key. He said, the secret of the ages is locked up in books. A nod to Robert Collier's work.
And that led him to the book.
Exactly. The mentor introduced him to Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, a classic, truly. And Proctor always emphasized this wasn't just Hill's opinion. It was the result of Hill studying over 500 super successful people.
Commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, right? Richest man in the world back then.
The very same. The core idea being your thoughts, your beliefs, they're the main drivers of your success. It's revolutionary stuff.
Didn't Hill initially write way more, though?
He did. 8 big volumes on the law of success, also requested by Carnegie. Think and Grow Rich was the condensed, powerful version we know.
And the mentor gave Proctor specific instructions with it.
Very specific. Read it every single day, he said, and you can achieve anything you truly want.
Now put yourself in Proctor's shoes then. Unhappy, sick, broke, dropout, no business experience.
It's easy to see why he'd be skeptical, right? A huge promise.
But he did it anyway. What was the key there?
This is crucial. Proctor said he believed that his mentor believed it. He kind of borrowed that belief initially.
Operated on faith in the mentor and the principles.
Exactly. Even before he fully believed in himself.
And the results.
Pretty staggering. Proctor called them miraculous. In 1 year, income jumped from $4,000 to $175,000.
Wow. Doing what?
Cleaning offices. And within 5 years, he was earning over $1 million a year doing that.
Just cleaning offices.
Yep. He was willing to do the work, honest work, and he held on to that belief his mentor gave him. Believed it was possible.
But then things shifted again, didn't they? He wasn't quite satisfied.
Right. He talked about a period of, let's say, irresponsible spending, and this feeling grew that his lifestyle just wasn't
Right.
It wasn't fulfilling.
Which led him to ask a deeper question.
Exactly. How did this happen? How did his life change so dramatically after meeting Ray Stanford, his mentor?
He knew something big had changed, but not the mechanics of it.
Precisely. So he dove in, 9.5 years of intense study to really understand the principles behind his own transformation.
And once he figured it out,
his main drive became teaching it, sharing it with others who felt stuck like he used to.
He often criticized the school system for not teaching this stuff. How to control your own mind, your life.
Yeah, he stressed that we're all born with that ability. It's inherent, which led him to really explore the nature of belief itself.
He loved that Napoleon Hill quote about wishing versus being ready.
Oh, absolutely. There is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until they believe they can acquire it.
Belief, not just hope.
Exactly. The state of mind has to be belief. Hill also said, closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, or belief. You need that genuine conviction.
And mentors play a huge role in building that conviction.
Hugely important. Proctor spoke so highly of Val Vandewalle, another key mentor for him. He always said everyone needs someone they respect, trust, and whose advice they actually follow.
Val gave him that insight about reevaluating situations, changing beliefs.
Yes. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about it will change.
And Proctor was deep in study at that time, right? Philosophy, religion.
Yeah, dive. Bible, Bhagavad Gita, Quran, you name it. Seeking that profound self-understanding.
And he realized his own beliefs changed as he learned more about human potential.
That's it. His inner world shifted through study, and the outer world started to reflect that change. It really shows the power of learning and questioning your own assumptions.
And Napoleon Hill had that other great line about aiming high.
Right. Remember, no more effort is required in order to aim high in life than is required to accept misery and poverty.
It takes the same mental energy, essentially, so why not aim high?
Exactly. It's incredibly empowering when you think about it.
Okay, so let's get into the how. How does belief turn into reality? Proctor's stick figure analogy.
Yeah, the stick person. Simple but powerful.
Yeah.
Infinite power, infinite intelligence flows into our conscious mind. We use that to build images of what we want.
I mean, you get emotionally involved with those images.
Yeah.
Feel like it's real.
That's the instruction. Feel it, expect it, and it manifests. But it doesn't always work right away, does it?
No. We've all been there, feeling it, wanting it, but the results aren't showing up. Why?
The paradigm. That's the missing piece for many people, your subconscious programming.
So the conscious image controls your vibration, which controls attraction.
Right. But if your underlying paradigm, your subconscious belief system, hasn't changed, it kind of cancels out the new image.
It's like the old programming overrides the new instruction.
Perfectly put. The paradigm has to be altered for the new images to really stick and manifest consistently.
And for Proctor, how did that shift happen?
Repetition.
Yeah.
Constant, relentless repetition of empowering ideas, empowering information.
He talked about that vision he had way back in '73.
Yes. I am going to build a company that operates all over the world. A clear, specific vision.
And Sandy Gallagher, his partner, she got on board with that vision.
Fully aligned. And just recently, Mikey Steller, the COO we mentioned.
She confirmed it.
Confirmed it. The company officially operates in every single country in the world.
Wow. That's incredible. And it wasn't luck?
Not at all. By design. He held that vision, got emotionally involved with it day after day, year after year. That repetition, that emotional connection, It eventually overrode the old paradigm.
Planted the new image deep in the subconscious.
And then spirit, or infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it, manifests through that form, through that image.
Okay, let's just nail this down again.
Yeah.
Image impressed on the subconscious.
Controls your vibration.
Vibration controls attraction.
Attraction leads to results.
No accidents, no luck in the grand scheme.
Fundamentally, no. It requires that emotional involvement, yes, but also consciously working through repetition, persistence, and faith to change that limiting programming.
Which also kind of debunks the whole right place, right time idea as being just luck.
Exactly. I mean, opportunity recognition is key. Like Janice Weigel becoming a top earner by seizing an opportunity. Proctor did the same.
But he pushed it further, didn't he?
He said, believe you are always in the right place at the right time. Cultivate the awareness to actually see the opportunities that are all around you.
Because we miss them otherwise.
Constantly, we're just not tuned in, which ties into his idea about levels of awareness.
Right, the spectrum. From animalistic reaction
to a master's level conscious response. Think of a baby reacting instinctively versus parents thinking, planning, responding.
Reaction is fight or flight, instinct. Response involves thought, consideration.
Precisely, moving beyond just reacting to consciously choosing how you respond to life.
Then there's that next level following the masses.
Yeah, where societal conditioning, the collective paradigm, really takes hold. But even there, Proctor said, something starts to stir.
An aspiration, a feeling that there must be more.
Exactly, that inner yearning for something greater than just the status quo. That's desire kicking in.
He said, Think and Grow Rich did that for him. Woke up that aspiration.
And where does that desire come from? Proctor believed it's our innate urge to express our uniqueness. We're unique expressions of the divine, wanting to grow.
But then comes the conflict. Desire pulls you forward.
And the paradigm, the comfort zone, pulls you back. That internal tug of war.
Feels like being stuck.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you might realize, okay, discipline could win this, giving yourself a command and following it.
But just forcing discipline often doesn't work long term.
Not if the want isn't deep enough. The paradigm is strong. Discipline without real desire often just fizzles out into a wish. You feel stuck again.
So the breakthrough is connecting the want and the discipline.
Absolutely. True discipline is giving yourself that command and following through. And it works best when it's aligned with something you genuinely deeply want.
Otherwise, it's just frustration.
Frustration, disappointment. You need to consciously bring discipline to bear on your real wants.
And that often starts with a conscious decision, like a no to the old way.
Yes. Stopping that negative pull, committing to move forward. Then you learn by taking action aligned with the desire and the discipline.
And those new actions create new results.
Which shifts your reality. It changes how you see things. You move from reacting to thinking, planning, consciously responding.
And the two main ways to change that underlying paradigm.
1, conscious, consistent repetition of the new idea. 2, a significant emotional impact.
But just casually listening to something once isn't enough for repetition, is it?
No way. He used that analogy of listening to a recording. Your mind wanders, right? You take mental trips. You hear it, but you don't absorb it deeply.
Hearing versus really listening.
Big difference. 1 listen, 1 read. It rarely sticks enough to change the paradigm.
So repetition is key because that's how the old paradigm got there in the first place.
Exactly. Years and years of repeated ideas, experiences, especially when we were young. So the new paradigm needs the same treatment.
Listening to empowering stuff hundreds, even thousands of times. Reading books over and over.
That's the process. Each repetition hits those core ideas slightly differently, sinks them in deeper. Sporadic listening just doesn't imprint it.
Relentless repetition rewires the subconscious.
That's at the core of it.
And that ratio he gave. Mindset versus strategy.
Crucial. 5% strategy, 95% mindset.
Yeah.
And changing the mindset, changing the paradigm, that's almost entirely about repetition.
Which brings us to the power of making a decision. The Carnegie and Hill story really highlights this.
It's a fantastic story. Carnegie, richest man on earth, looking for someone to codify the laws of achievement. Interviews over 250 people.
And then meets young Napoleon Hill, a reporter.
Hill has no idea Carnegie is sizing him up for this massive project. They talk for 3 hours, then Carnegie invites him to his home for 3 days.
And Carnegie lays out his whole philosophy. How he became wealthy from nothing.
Exactly. Then comes the test.
The 60-second question. Or sometimes 10 seconds.
Carnegie believed in decisive answers for big questions. He asked Hill, Will you spend your life developing this philosophy of achievement, knowing you probably won't get paid for maybe 20 years?
Wow, high stakes. And Hill had 60 seconds.
60 seconds. And in 29 seconds, Hill says, yes, I will.
29 seconds. That's incredible decisiveness.
Isn't it? Carney then warns him, you'll want to quit. I won't pay you directly, but I'll open doors, introduce you to the right people.
And it took Hill 20 years.
20 years to produce the law of success. Monumental task.
Carnegie also gave Hill that affirmation right, to surpass him.
He did. Told Hill to repeat it daily. I will not only equal Andrew Carnegie's achievements, but I will surpass him. Hill was initially reluctant, thought it was crazy.
But Carnegie explained it was about planting it in the subconscious.
Exactly. Hill admitted he started repeating it secretly in the bathroom.
Huh. But look at the outcome. Carnegie made maybe 50 millionaires.
And Hill's work has made millions upon millions more. Carnegie's vision fulfilled, massively exceeded, all stemming from that 29-second decision.
It really shows the power of making that committed choice.
Absolutely. Like Kennedy asking Werner von Braun about going to the moon.
What would it take?
And von Braun instantly, within maybe 10 seconds, the will to do it.
The will. The commitment.
That unwavering determination. Focus the energy and the impossible becomes possible. These people, Carnegie, Hill, Kennedy, von Braun, they understood these universal laws.
Yeah.
Consciously or intuitively.
It comes back to vibration, frequency.
Proctor explained it that way. Yes, everything is energy, vibrating at different frequencies. Get yourself on the frequency of what you want.
And you connect with it, attract it.
Like dialing a phone number. You dial the frequency, you connect to the phone on that same frequency. We get it with tech.
But often miss it in life.
Our thoughts are vibrations. We think on frequencies. Our habitual thoughts create our current results, our current frequency.
So if you don't like the results,
it's likely stemming from your thinking, your frequency, not just lack of effort.
And that ties into the idea of expansion from Thomas Trode.
Yes. My mind is a center of divine operation. The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. We're built to grow, to want more.
So that feeling of dissatisfaction isn't necessarily bad.
Not at all. That well-meaning advice, just be satisfied with what you've got, it actually goes against our nature. Healthy dissatisfaction drives growth.
It's the divine spark wanting more expression.
Beautifully said.
Okay, let's tackle a big one. Waiting for the money. I'll do it when I get the money.
Oh, that's such a common trap. Proctor was adamant about this. The reality is we acquire what we truly want. We always find the money for it. It's like a law.
So write this down. When I really want something, I will always find the money.
Memorize it. Because waiting for the money just kills the dream. Your conviction fades, the decision weakens, the goal gets abandoned.
It's a frequency mismatch again, isn't it?
Totally. You're thinking lack, current results low frequency. The goal, the dream, is up here, high frequency.
Like trying to get FM radio on an AM band?
Perfect analogy. Focusing on what you don't want keeps you locked on that lower frequency.
So the work is to consciously shift. Think and act like the person who already has achieved it.
Yes. Get on the frequency of the desired outcome. Make that firm decision, I am doing this, come what may.
And act from that place consistently.
Even when people around you react negatively.
Especially then. They might still be on the lower frequency, right? Who do you think you are? That kind of thing.
And the temptation is to shrink back down to their level.
But you have to resist. Stay on your higher frequency. Stay true to your decision. And the only real requirement for making that decision
is genuinely deeply wanting it. If the want is strong enough, you'll figure out the how. You'll find what's needed.
Like Proctor holding that vision for a global company for decades, 1973 to 2021.
Unwavering belief, fueled by that deep want. That's why successful people often decide quickly the want is clear, the belief is there.
Comes back to von Braun again. The will to do it.
That's really all it takes, the committed decision, the will. You are this massive energy, consciously direct it with your thoughts and feelings.
There was that example of Joni Carty, too.
Right. Had a good, secure, well-paying job. Comfortable.
But her soul wasn't singing.
Exactly. Something deeper was calling, so she made the courageous decision to quit.
Illustrating that principle, align your actions with that heartfelt decision, and new paths open up.
The good job can sometimes be the biggest limitation, keeping you from something great.
So, wrapping this up,
Yeah.
if someone wants to achieve a big goal, that first million maybe, what are the absolute key takeaways from Proctor's work?
Okay, number one, beliefs create reality, period. change your beliefs, you change your reality, choose them consciously.
Number 2, that subconscious paradigm, it can be changed. Repetition and emotional impact are the tools.
3, a committed decision, one that comes from real deep want, is absolutely crucial, non-negotiable.
And 4, tune yourself thoughts, feelings, actions to the frequency of what you desire. Act like you're already there.
Proctor's whole life really proves that anyone, truly anyone, can achieve incredible things by understanding and applying these laws.
So for everyone listening, maybe reflect on this. What one idea really hit home for you today?
Yeah, what resonated most? And maybe what limiting belief are you now willing to actually reevaluate?
And the big one, what audacious goal are you ready to make a firm, committed decision about starting right now?
We genuinely love to hear from you. Share those thoughts, those commitments, those aha moments in the comments. It's really inspiring for everyone.
Absolutely. And if you post a clear commitment, I'm making that million, or my paradigm is shifting today, we'll be looking out for those.
We'll give it a personal, just to acknowledge that powerful intention you're putting out there.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us, for taking this deep dive. If you found value here, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, hit that notification bell.
Until next time, really believe in yourself. Aim high. Remember, the power to create the life you want is truly within you.
Now go out there and make it happen.